Hello everybody, hope you're doing well today, because this video is the final review of the Five Nights at Freddy's interactive novel series. Previously we checked out VIP the week before and Return to the Pit, and today we'll be looking at Escape the Pizzaplex. This is another story like VIP that's based on Security Breach and takes place in the Pizzaplex, which I do like. The week before and Return to the Pit kind of focus on the classic FNAF characters, especially in the week before's case like with Phone Guy, while VIP and Escape the Pizzaplex focus on modern FNAF. So we've got a nice divide between the two eras of the franchise. Before we get into this review, I've got something to rant about. First of all, this book was a major pain in the ass to find. I'll set out the scene for you. I was super hyped for this book since the last book I read was Return to the Pit, and that book was kind of a stinker, so I was looking forward to this one being good. Everywhere else in the world gets this book on April 1st, the release date. I live in Australia, and the release dates are kind of weird here with any FNAF merch, especially the books. I don't see this book anywhere for an entire month after its release, and then randomly I just spot it in my local Big W. What's even stranger is that we got the Stickerpedia a whole week before it released. Anyway, that's not that big of a deal. Let's just get started with the review of Escape the Pizzaplex. This story is all about our main characters from Security Breach and Ruin, Gregory and Cassie respectively. We play as Cassie, and as we know, Gregory is her best friend. Why would she go into the abandoned Pizzaplex if she hated him? Right out the gate, we are told they both stay overnight at the Pizzaplex like the YouTubers in 2016 staying 24 hours inside the mega Pizzaplex. We get some info about Cassie's dad, that he worked at the Pizzaplex as a Faz technician, which we already knew, but it's nice to get some more confirmation on that. Also that Roxy is Cassie's favorite bot in the Pizzaplex, and her whole birthday situation, which we already knew from Ruin. This book takes place across 5 nights just like the week before, so I'm going to be summarizing each night including any details and give my opinion on each one. If you want to skip to a specific night, I'll have the timestamps in the description below. Night 1 has Cassie and Gregory play hide and seek with Freddy. Gregory knows how to program the animatronics to do whatever he wants, so this is likely Gregory or GGY or Dr. Rabbit, whatever you want to call him, that is taken over them by the Mimic 1 software. And same guy who kills the therapist from the Patient 46 CDs. This is later emphasized when Cassie loses hide and seek and Freddy starts acting very aggressive towards her, which Gregory said was just a mess of her. Night 1 just feels like a tutorial night since there are no wrong choices and you can't die. Night 2 is another round of hide and seek, this time with Monty, which funny enough takes place in both Monty Golf and Bonnie Bowl. Also, Cassie mentions that Monty is the one who scares her the most. Even though Gregory said he wouldn't mess with Cassie and try to hurt her, Monty still acts aggressive, which Gregory uses his gadget to stop him and explains that it must have been something wrong with the code. I don't really know if Gregory was telling the truth here about the program or not, but I have a feeling it's the whole Mimic program taking over Gregory's program, which we will see later. Night 2 is overall one of the better nights in the book. Before we go into Night 3, the death scenes in this book are kinda lame. Like, most of them aren't very interesting and all just the same thing depending on which animatronic is active that night. For example, in Night 2, all the deaths are just Monty catching Cassie and that is it. The week before had some really cool and creative deaths, so it's a little disappointing that these are just the same outcome. Night 3 is probably the worst night in the entire book. Gregory and Freddy warn Cassie about this dangerous staff bot roaming around called the Reagent, which cleans up organic matter with its chemicals and would obviously kill Cassie. It is never mentioned where this bot came from, but my theory is that it's either made to kill anyone staying overnight in the Pizzaplex, i.e. Cassie and Gregory, or it's all Gregory's work and he's actively trying to kill Cassie, which is supported by the Monty and Freddy acting aggressive towards her. And if Fazbear Entertainment made it just to clean up the place, why on earth would they need a staff bot with this powerful of like chemicals that can literally knock someone out and kill them, when they could have just used a normal staff bot? The death scenes in this night are all just Cassie getting gassed by the Reagent, which is kinda lame. Literally just all the exact same thing over and over again. Well, different wording, but the same outcome. Luckily, before Cassie is killed by the bot, Roxy shows up to save her. Night 4 is where this book starts to improve a bit because of Cassie and Roxy's relationship being explored a bit more. It's not much, but Roxy is persistent on helping Cassie escape the Pizzaplex because they are like best friends. I would have liked if they mentioned Cassie's birthday a bit more, since that's her major event, and that's when she became friends with Gregory and Roxy made her day. Other than that, this night isn't very special. You are given the option to leave through the loading docks, which unless I missed something, only leads to death by the Reagent. or the lobby where we find Gregory and Freddy having an argument and Freddy attacks him. Cassie thinks Gregory is dead, but it turns out to be another one of his pranks, and both Freddy and Roxy were in on it, which really hurts Cassie that her favorite would do something like that to her, so she runs off into a storage closet. Once again, the boring death scenes of the reagent killing Cassie, which is just the same, your eyes burn, your sight goes dark as the reagent rolls closer to you. Night 5 begins with Roxy saying sorry to Cassie and mentions that she didn't feel like herself because of Gregory's programming, which becomes a problem when the death scenes for this night has Roxy's eyes going red and attacking Cassie. I especially love the scene of Cassie in the elevator and Roxy's eyes going red and the walls looking like they're covered in blood. It's just a really cool death scene, and it isn't just the reagent killing Cassie for the 20th time. A nice breath of fresh air in a book full of reagent chemicals. In order to stop the evil programming taking over Roxy, Cassie must make a choice either between rock, paper, scissors, or red, green, and yellow, and pick the correct option. Rock because Roxy likes to rock, and green because of her hair highlights. Picking the wrong option makes Roxy turn on Cassie. This kind of reminds me of the Parts and Service minigames from Security Breach. The finale of the book has Cassie lowering the reagent somewhere in the Pizzaplex, and Roxy pouncing on it and destroying it. There are multiple endings in this book that are all variations of the reagent being killed. Pouring Soda-Roni on it causes it to spark, Roxy stunning it and using a screwdriver found in the previous night. But the true ending of this book is in the New Game Plus mode, where you obtain a executive clearance keycard that unlocks a crate in Monty's green room that contains Monty's claws, which can be given to Roxy just like Freddy in Security Breach. With these claws, Roxy can now fight and damage Freddy on night 4 and rip apart the reagent on night 5. Cassie finally escapes the Pizzaplex and meets Gregory outside with a mischievous grin on his face and says, "So what game do you want to play tomorrow night?" Night 5 was probably my favorite and was really fun to read and explore different options. The endings, even though were just the reagent's death, weren't bad either. My main issue with this book is the reagent. Like, why is some random staff bot that we have never heard of or seen before just randomly show up in this book and take up more than half of it? I'm not gonna say I could write something better because I know I can't, but I feel like they could have done something else that's more interesting than making a brand new bot just for this book. Something else I think could have been done with this book is that it would have worked better as a prequel DLC for Security Breach that could have explained Cassie and Gregory's characters much more and their relationship and connection, which unfortunately wasn't explained much in this book, other than Gregory being a god-awful friend that trolls Cassie for possibly the entire book if the reagent was his doing. Some things in this book also just don't make any sense, like why wasn't Cassie's dad concerned that his daughter was gone for like at most 3 days? Unless he was underneath the Pizzaplex in Help Wanted 2, which I doubt since this book takes place before Security Breach and Help Wanted 2 takes place after that, and before Ruin. Also, Cassie could have left between night 4 and 5, she just sits in a storage closet the whole day when she could have just left the Pizzaplex. I also realized while writing this script that Chica is never mentioned at all, or just is never seen, which is very strange since the rest of the glam rock band is there. The daycare attendant or DJ Music Man are also completely absent. Overall, this book wasn't bad, definitely not as bad as people were saying online. Some people are saying it's the worst FNAF book of all time, but I think there's much worse out there. It is an interactive novel, so it was fun to go through. If I were to rank the 4 novels, I'd say The Week Before was easily the best one, plenty of lore drops for FNAF 1, and it was all about Phone Guy, so of course it's number 1. VIP would be second, even though the book doesn't have many death scenes. I thought the point system was fun, and going through the attractions in the Pizzaplex was cool. Escape the Pizzaplex would be third. I've already explained my thoughts of it in this video, but despite its flaws, it's not that bad. And finally, we have Return to the Pit, which I wasn't much of a fan of, mainly because one of the 4 novels was wasted on Into the Pit retelling when it could have been something much better. This interactive novel series was very enjoyable, and it's sad to see it go so soon, but then again, I prefer quality over quantity, so I'm glad I didn't make like 10 of these just for the sake of it. I would recommend reading this book if you like the FNAF books, especially the interactive novels, and if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks for watching.